Heartwarming discovery, Black Maid unveils incredible truth. Her guest is the hotel owner. In the lively heart of New Orleans, where the air vibrates with jazz and the scent of gumbo wafts through the streets, Clara dedicated herself to the timeless rhythms of life as a maid in a historic hotel. With each day, she masked her tiredness beneath the warm smile that welcomed guests from every corner of the world. Despite her modest home, where she cared for her ailing mother, Clara fueled her resilience with dreams of a better future, a future she believed was within reach. One vibrant evening, amidst the clink of glasses and laughter echoing through the hotel lounge, the shadows of her struggles seemed to fade away. Clara met Benjamin, a mysterious guest whose kind smile hinted at a heaviness that mirrored her own. They shared stories over lunch, their conversations flowing like the sweet sounds of saxophones just outside. Laughter lit her tired eyes, and for the first time in weeks, Clara felt seen, not just as the maid but as a person with dreams and aspirations. "It's refreshing to chat with someone genuine," Benjamin said, his voice tinged with warmth as they exchanged ideas about their favorite places in the city. Clara noticed how the way he listened made her feel valued, a rarity amid the industry's whirlwind of demands, but as their friendship blossomed, subtle truths loomed large. Did he know the weight of her burdens? Did he grasp the realities outside the walls of the hotel? The laughter faded slightly whenever Clara recalled her long shifts and the bills piled up on the dining table back home, reminding her of the relentless grind that overshadowed her newfound friendship. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As Clara and Benjamin's meals together turned into shared laughter and unguarded moments, the realization that nurtured their bond loomed over them. It was his unspoken identity as the hotel owner that weighed heavily on their connection. One afternoon, he confessed he needed to step back, the stress of failing business plans and his privilege pressing down on him like a lead weight. Clara's heart sank, unsure how to reconcile her feelings for him with her understanding of the world he represented. An unexpected crisis struck when whispers of the hotel's financial troubles sent shockwaves through the staff. Clara found herself at a crossroads, her job teetering precariously. Yet, in the depths of her disappointment, she felt the resolve that brought her through each long day. Driven by a sense of justice, she rallied her fellow workers, igniting a spark of solidarity that pulsed through the community like the rhythm of a jazz band. Their lives intertwined further as they stood against the odds, yet Clara's heart battled with lingering doubt. Was she still his friend, or merely another pawn in the world he navigated so easily? As the drums cranked higher and the energy heightened, their futures hung in the balance. Clara wrestled with the turmoil inside her, the urgency of her circumstances forcing her to confront feelings that swirled like a storm. Would she embrace the hope of their friendship, or allow the harsh realities of society to tear them apart? As tensions rose and the stakes became personal, both Clara and Benjamin stood on the brink of a transformation that could change everything. Amidst the rhythm of New Orleans, they found themselves caught in an emotional dance, a question lingering in the air: could loyalty transcend the barriers they faced, or would the truths of their world shatter the fragile bond they had built? The heart of the city beat on, but for Clara and Benjamin, it was just the beginning. The sun rose, casting a golden hue over the streets of New Orleans. Clara felt the warmth embrace her, yet it did little to quell the storm brewing inside her. The hotel was abuzz with its usual morning rituals, but the air felt heavy with unspoken tension. Financial rumors were now openly discussed among staff, whispers that only grew more frantic as the days went by. Clara donned her uniform with the same care she always did, but today, the fabric felt like an anchor dragging her down. She looked in the mirror, searching for the spark in her eyes that had danced with joy since meeting Benjamin. Instead, she found uncertainty staring back. Would he still see her as an equal when the truth of their worlds loomed so drastically apart? As she moved through the hotel, she caught snippets of conversations. "If they cut more hours, what are we supposed to do?" another maid lamented, her hands trembling with worry. Clara understood the fear. Each bill that arrived at home was a harbinger of struggles yet to come. She had to do something, if not for herself, for everyone who stood to lose their livelihood. Taking a deep breath, Clara gathered her courage and approached the staff break room. The air was thick with anxiety, but as she stepped inside, her presence commanded attention even in silence. "Listen, everyone, we've got to band together," she spoke, her voice trembling initially but growing firmer with conviction. "We can't let fear dictate our lives. We deserve a fighting chance." The room felt electric, eyes widening as she articulated what they all feared but hadn't spoken. Her heart raced. Fear had gripped them tightly, but perhaps if they joined forces, they could shake free. Clara was met with nods of agreement and muttered affirmations. Later that day, she found herself standing outside Benjamin's office, the elegant mahogany door rough against her knuckles. After a hesitant knock, he called her in, and she stepped into a space filled with responsibility. The weight of the history that surrounded the hotel rested in his demeanor. "Clara, I didn't expect to see you today," Benjamin greeted, hiding a hint of concern behind his usually charming smile. His sincerity stirred something in her, yet so did the chasm that lay between them. "I need to talk to you about the hotel," Clara began, her voice steadier than she felt. "There's a lot happening, we're worried. We need a plan." His brow furrowed, revealing the burdens he bore. "I've been doing everything I can. It's complicated." "Seems like you need help," she replied, a mix of frustration and admiration bubbling at the edge of her tone. Clara could see that Buchanan wasn't just the hotel owner, he was a man at a crossroads, his soul battling personal demons she could only begin to comprehend. "Clara, I care about this place. I want to make it right," Benjamin said, his tone earnest. "But there are forces at play that I'm still trying to understand." She stepped closer, her heart racing. "And what about us?" Clara's voice cracked ever so slightly, laden with the weight of their shared secrets and unspoken truths. His gaze deepened, mirroring her vulnerability, but uncertainty clouded his eyes. "I wish I could tell you it would all work out." For a moment, silence flowed between them, thick with everything left unsaid. Clara could almost hear the very pulse of the city outside, full of life, yet in here, an electric connection sparked, just as their eyes locked. An urgent knock echoed through the office, pulling them back to reality. An assistant burst in, breathless, bringing news of impending layoffs. Clara froze, her heart pounding. "It's worse than we thought," she whispered, and with that realization, a new wave of determination surged through her. Could they possibly face the storm together, or would this reveal the very fractures of their relationship? As they exchanged glances, the question hung between them like a distant melody, waiting for an answer. How would they navigate this storm together? And just how much could their fragile bond stretch before it snapped under pressure? Clara's mind whirled as the assistant stammered out the details of layoffs looming like dark clouds over the hotel. A tightening knot settled in her stomach, a mix of fear and anger. What would happen to her friends? What would happen to her family? Benjamin's face paled, his usual confidence faltering as the weight of the news sank in. "No, this can't be happening," he muttered, running a hand through his hair. The man who always seemed so in control now looked lost. Clara felt a pang of sympathy for him. He was trapped, just like the rest of them. "Benjamin, we can't let this stand," she said, her determination rising like a tide. "We have to do something. You said you care about this place, show us." He looked at her, eyes searching. "I don't know what I can do. The board is making these decisions, and they're not listening to reason. That's not good enough." Clara exclaimed, her voice a little sharper than intended. "You can't just roll over. These people depend on this job, this place." Benjamin's gaze shifted, suddenly stern. "And if I fight back, they could turn on me, too. It's not just the staff at stake, it's my whole family legacy." His words struck a chord in her. She understood family responsibility, she carried that burden herself. But it felt like they had a chance here if only they could communicate their strength as one. Let us talk to the others. Together we can make a noise they hear, Clara insisted, her heart racing with a mixture of panic and urgency. You don't have to do this alone. For a long moment, Benjamin remained silent, indecision flickering in his eyes. She couldn't bear the weight of waiting. Just as uncertainty threatened to overtake her, he took a deep breath and nodded. Okay. Let us gather everyone. At that moment, Clara believed they could rouse a spirit of change. The two of them rushed out of the office, the fear that had paralyzed them melding into a shared determination. As they walked through the bustling hotel, Clara felt the connection strengthen. They were no longer just hotel maid and owner, they were allies, bound by the same fight. The staff break room stood as a gathering point. The atmosphere was thick with trepidation as Clara and Benjamin entered. The chatter quieted, eyes darting between them anxiously. Clara caught Benjamin's eye, and he stepped forward, chin lifted in defiance. Everyone, he began, his voice steady but heavy with emotion, I'm here to talk to you about what is happening. I want to fight for our community, our family. Clara and I believe together we can make our voices heard. Murmurs of surprise swept through the room. Clara could see the flicker of hope igniting in their eyes. But beneath it ran a current of unspoken fear. She stepped forward. If we unite, we can bring the issue to the forefront. We should march to the board, organized and resolute. They need to see us, to hear us. The atmosphere shifted. Worry morphed into determination as they began to discuss plans, suggestions cascading like a waterfall. Clara could feel the electric energy in the room, a sense of unity brewing with fervor. Conversations came alive, voices rising in unison, creating a real force to be reckoned with. As Clara stood amidst the growing resolve, she felt Benjamin's hand at the small of her back, a gentle but firm presence. She glanced up, meeting the warmth in his gaze. In that moment, she felt a rush of possibility. Their bond could become a driving force, a beacon of hope for their future, but just as the crowd began to gain momentum and clarification on their mission, Clara noticed a figure just outside the door, watching them intently. It was the hotel manager, his expression unreadable, tension radiating from him in waves. What does he want? She murmured to Benjamin, sensing the shift in mood. Would their efforts be undercut by looming authority? As the air thickened with queries and uncertain glances, she realized this fight wasn't just for her and Benjamin. It was for everyone who believed in a fair chance and the right to stand tall. But would they have the courage to face whatever was about to unfold? The door creaked open wider, and Clara braced herself for the coming confrontation. Would they stand firm against the storm or crumble under its weight? The hotel manager stepped inside, his eyes scanning the room like a hawk. The chatter fell silent. Clara's heart raced, sensing the weight of his presence suffocating the energy they'd built. She tried to focus, to recall the strength they'd just shared, but the look on his face sent a ripple of dread through the gathered staff. What's going on here? He asked, his voice steady but edged with suspicion. Benjamin moved forward, shoulders squared. We're discussing the situation regarding the potential layoffs. We're not going to stand by and let our voices be ignored. The manager pounced on the challenge like a predator. You think you can just rally everyone and force your way through? This is a business decision. The board knows what they're doing. Clara could feel tension unraveling in the room, turning fragile. They had been filled with courage just moments before, and now doubt crackled like static in the air. She stepped forward beside Benjamin, refusing to let fear cloud their purpose. But it affects real lives, she insisted, pointing to the diverse group of workers around them. These are not just numbers on a page. These are our families. Our community. No one cares about your community, the manager sneered, crossing his arms. They care about profit, and if you don't understand that, you're on the wrong side of this industry. At that moment, Clara saw the fire igniting in the eyes of her colleagues. This was their chance to show the manager just how much they mattered. We are the heartbeat of this hotel. Someone shouted from the back, the conviction resonating in the walls around them. It was a wave that swelled, crashing over the room, a chorus of voices all buoyed by the desire to fight back, to scream against the tide that threatened to drown them. Benjamin glanced at Clara, his resolve hardening. "We're going to get our message out there, to the people. We won't back down," he declared, his voice booming over the growing swell of support. The manager shifted uncomfortably, clearly unprepared for the resistance. But he composed himself, drawing on authority. "You'll only make things worse. This isn't worth losing your jobs over. You'll regret it." Clara's heart raced as she stepped forward, drawing from the strength surrounding her. "We'd rather fight than be silenced. We know what we're capable of, and we won't let fear hold us back." The manager scoffed but stepped back, the crowd's energy pressing against him, grounding them all in resolve. As the tension hung in the air, Clara couldn't help but feel they were on the verge of something powerful, a turning point. "What happens next?" someone whispered beside her, eyes wide with uncertainty. The question lingered, echoing the fears buried deep in their hearts. Benjamin took a breath, clearly struggling with his own doubts. "We prepare and execute a plan, despite what they think. We gather our evidence, rally support, and stand united." A sudden burst of noise erupted, staff members chiming in with more ideas, each more fervent than the last. They began to organize themselves, thoughts coalescing into a clear purpose. Clara felt buoyed. This isn't just about fighting against layoffs, it was about reclaiming their dignity. But then, just as the room surged with enthusiasm, Clara's phone buzzed violently in her pocket. She pulled it out and glanced at the screen. An unexpected message lit up the display, a distanced family member alerting her that a group representing their community was holding a rally that very night to stand against unjust layoffs. Clara's heart sank with an urge to act. Would they join that rally for strength, or risk their chances to fight for their own place? "We should go. This could be our moment to gain real support," she said, voice barely rising above the din. The room quieted, eyes turning towards her. "But what if it's a trap?" someone questioned, fear creeping back in. "Change begins with a single brave step," Clara replied, swallowing the lump in her throat. "We can't fight if we don't come together." Would they take the chance to elevate their movement? Or would they hesitate, torn between safety and standing up for what was right? The decision loomed in the air, threatening to test their unity as the clock ticked down to the rally. What choice would they make in the face of adversity? The silence in the room stretched, taut like a tightrope ready to snap under pressure. Clara felt the weight of every gaze fixed on her. Voices muted and whispers fluttered, each person grappling with doubt and anticipation. It was a moment heavy with possibilities, and Clara drew a deep breath, steeling herself. She couldn't let fear crush the spark they had ignited. "What do we want?" someone called out, rekindling the momentum. "Jobs," came the powerful reply, echoing with a sense of fierce determination. "And our dignity," another voice added, strengthening the chorus, igniting a fire in Clara's belly. She took a step forward, emboldened. "Then let us not waste this chance. We need to rally tonight and show our community that we matter." The murmurs began to rise again, voices clashing with uncertainty. "But what if we get in trouble?" someone interjected. "What's to stop them from firing us all?" Clara shook her head, her heart pounding against her ribcage. "Every moment we stay silent, we put our jobs at risk anyway. We have to stand up now, or we'll lose our future." Tension surged, stringing the room together with a thread of fear and exhilaration. Benjamin stepped beside her, his presence solid and reassuring. "She's right. If we want to fight for our livelihoods, we need to be bold. Let us show them who we really are." The room buzzed with renewed strength. Discussion sparked, ideas firing like fireworks. Clara listened as practically everyone voiced their thoughts, some suggesting strategies on how to approach the rally, while others shared their personal stories of hardship and resilience. Each tale stitched them closer together, weaving their lives into a single narrative of struggle against a looming threat. Suddenly, Clara felt a hand on her shoulder. It was Jane, one of the servers. "I trust you, Clara. We're with you." Her voice was steady, her eyes shining. It was the affirmation Clara needed, and she felt her own resolve crank up a notch. "We're in this together," she declared, her voice rising above the noise. "Let us head to that rally and show the world we're stronger than they think." As they agreed to move forward, Clara's phone lit up again. The message from her family member had a new spirit, announcing that a union was joining the rally, offering rides and support. "Look! We've got backup," she said, raising her phone triumphantly. Excitement sparked through the group, the energy palpable. They formed a plan, buzzing with adrenaline, a palpable sense of unity washing over them. As they began to gather their things, the hotel manager's voice broke through from the doorway. "What are you all doing? You're making a mistake." Clara turned to face him, her heart steady. "No. The mistake would be letting fear silence us. We matter, and so do our voices." With that, they marched towards the door, hand in hand, each step feeling lighter than the last. Clara could sense the crowd transforming from uncertainty to a fierce pride. It was more than just a rally, they were reclaiming their power. As they exited, the hotel loomed behind them, a stark reminder of the fight ahead. The sunset painted the sky with colors of resolve, bathing their journey in warmth and hope. But just as they reached the street filled with apprehensive supporters and fellow workers, Clara's heart sank once more. A familiar face scoured the crowd, one filled with details she feared. It was the hotel owner. What was he doing here? Had he come to sabotage their movement? Clara's breath hitched with anxiety as she locked eyes with them. The owner's expression was inscrutable, and she wondered, would they truly challenge them, or was it the moment they had been waiting for to finally turn the tables? What did he want on this critical night of change? The question loomed as they stepped into the swirling tide of the rally, their fates intertwined with uncertainty and the promise of transformation. The crowd was buzzing, a sea of faces aglow with shared resolve. Clara's heart raced, both from excitement and the icy knot of fear in the pit of her stomach. She needed to focus, they all did. She had the power to rally them, but would they stand firm when faced with the owner's bold presence? "Stay together," she shouted, her voice slicing through the noise. Around her, hands squeezed tighter, a silent affirmation of solidarity. Clara felt the weight of everyone's faith resting on her shoulders, an exhilarating pressure. Together, they made way through the gathering, the sound of distant drums and chants amplifying the urgency of the moment. As they neared the front of the rally, the owner's silhouette loomed larger. He stood by the podium, tall and imposing, scanning the crowd. Clara's heart sank further. Was he there to rally support for the workers or squash their uprising? Benjamin stepped in close, quietly asking, "What's our plan if he tries to intimidate us?" His eyes held an intensity that matched her own. "We don't back down," Clara affirmed, her voice barely above a whisper but filled with conviction. They had come too far to falter now. Just as she was about to take a stand, a sudden loudspeaker crackled to life, sending a jolt through the crowd. "We need to make our voices heard," a speaker shouted enthusiastically from the stage. The crowd roared in response, their energy pulsating as one. Clara felt a surge of adrenaline. "This is it," she shouted, lifting her hand like a beacon. "Let us show them we won. Be quiet." Cheers erupted around her, but she could still feel the owner's penetrating gaze. It was unnerving, and yet, there was a flicker of something deeper in his eyes, something Claudia couldn't ignore. As the rally kicked into high gear, stories were shared on stage, personal narratives that spoke of struggles, dignity, and the everyday lives of workers simply trying to survive. Clara felt the electricity in their shared experience, a fabric woven together by unbreakable threads of hope and resilience. And yet, through all the voices rising, Clara found herself drawn back to the owner, who now stood at the edge of the crowd, arms crossed, a complex look cast across his face. Suddenly, an unexpected shout came from the back. "We need better treatment. We deserve to be heard." A woman pushed through the throng, her voice filled with raw emotion. Clara recognized her as part of the housekeeping team. Behind her, others began to join. It was a tidal wave of voices clamoring for change. Watching them, Clara realized something monumental. This rally wasn't just about jobs, it was a collective acknowledgement of their worth. They were not just workers, they were the backbone of this place. But the owner stepped forward then, breaking through the crowd like a wave crashing against rocks. There he stood, transparent with uncertainty, looking every bit the titan whose reign might be challenged. Clara's heart pounded as she stepped forward, her voice unwavering, "You can intimidate us, but we won't back down. This is our moment." The crowd buzzed, anticipating either a rebuke or a revelation. Clara's spine tingled. What would he say? Would he try to silence them, or could he offer something long awaited? The tension in the air felt almost electric as their breaths collectively held, and then, a muffled voice over the roar, a simple phrase that would change everything. "I'm here to listen." Clara's heart raced. What did that mean? She felt an opening, a crack in the armor. But did it offer true collaboration, or was it a tactic to quell their fire? Could they trust him? As her gaze searched for answers in his eyes, something shifted in the atmosphere, and a chance for understanding hung in the air, both fragile and enormous. What lay ahead in this unexpected dialogue? Would Clara seize this moment of vulnerability, or let the opportunity slip away? Clara stared up at the owner, her heart pounding with a mix of hope and skepticism. The sound of thousands of breaths hung in the space between them. Would he break? Could they finally bridge the chasm that separated their worlds? "I'm listening," he said again, and this time, the words seemed to sink in. It wasn't just a phrase, it was a daring challenge tossed into the swirling tide of emotions. The crowd shifted, pausing, waiting to see if this was a real invitation or merely a calculated placation. "Then let us talk," Clara said, her voice steady as she stepped closer. "We've felt unheard for too long. We're tired of the empty promises." The words felt heavy with years of frustration, and she knew many felt the same. She could sense the crowd, their anticipation pulsing like a heartbeat behind her. The owner opened his mouth to respond, but the words escaped him momentarily. Clara could see him processing the emotions, the responsibility, the stakes in front of him. She had never seen him like this, vulnerable, almost human. Did he actually care? "I understand," he said finally, his tone softer. "I've seen the impact of my decisions. And I can't ignore it anymore." The murmurs rippled through the crowd. Could they really trust him? This could either be the breakthrough they needed or a route to deeper disappointment. The haunting voices of prior struggles echoed in Clara's mind. She thought of the team members who had worked tirelessly, often unnoticed. "This isn't just about better wages," she pressed. "It's about respect. About being seen." At that moment, Benjamin stepped forward, his face earnest. "If you're serious, then we need a seat at the table. We want to be part of the decisions affecting our lives." Clara caught his eye, grateful for his support. "I can arrange a meeting," the owner replied, his confidence warily emerging from the cracks. "I'll sit with a group of you, hear your ideas and concerns." The crowd buzzed, excitement mixing with apprehension. Would this be a new path forward or just more rhetoric? Clara took a deep breath, feeling a swell of mixed emotions: hope, fear, uncertainty all rolled into one. "What is stopping you from making real change now?" she challenged. He hesitated, the shadows of regret passing over his features. "Fear," he admitted. "I fear losing control, losing the company, but I'm more terrified of losing the people who make it." His vulnerability cut through the tension. Clara felt a spark of connection in those words. "We're not here to hurt you," she said softly, "we want to work together." It was a simple sentiment, yet it echoed louder than any chant they led that day. Around her, hands began to rise in a pledge of solidarity. Together, came the voices, a chorus of hope. The owner scanned the crowd, his expression shifting, understanding dawning in his eyes. "I'll commit to this meeting as soon as possible. I can't promise it'll be easy, but..." He paused, gauging the crowd. We need to find a path forward together. Clara felt a swell of pride, the unease in her own heart ebbing slightly. Was this a turning point? The crowd erupted into cheers, echoing their hopes for change, for recognition, but just as Clara thought they had reached a significant breakthrough, a figure emerged from the side, one of the hotel's veterans, carrying the weight of years in his eyes. And what are you willing to do to ensure this happens, really? He called out, drawing everyone's attention. The energy shifted again, and Clara felt that knot of anxiety slacken only to tighten again. Would the owner rise to the challenge, or was this moment just a flicker in a much larger story? As everyone waited, anticipation hanging thick in the air, Clara's heart raced. It felt like they were standing on the edge of something monumental. Would the owner rise to meet this moment, or would promises dissolve into corporate silence once again? The answer was just a heartbeat away. The crowd seemed to collectively hold its breath. Clara's heart was racing, pounding in her chest like a drum demanding an answer. She could feel the uncertainty swirling around her again as the owner shifted uncomfortably, weighing his next words. He glanced at the veteran who posed the question, then back at Clara and the rising tide of expectant faces. What am I willing to do? He repeated, searching for the right response. I want to start with dialogue, but I know talk isn't enough. His voice wavered slightly, but there was a newfound determination behind it. I need to show you that I'm serious. I want to implement real changes immediately. A ripple of cautious optimism spread through the crowd. Clara couldn't suppress a glimmer of hope. What kind of changes? She pressed, wanting more than just vague promises. I can look into pay raises, he asserted, his voice gaining momentum. I can ensure there's better training and resources. And you need more opportunities for advancement. The idea of a tangible commitment hung in the air, and Clara could feel the fragile thread of trust beginning to weave its way between them. Benjamin took a step forward again. And we need you to involve us in those decisions. If we're part of the change, we can help ensure it actually happens. The owner nodded, visibly struck by Benjamin's words. Yes, yes. I'll create a council, a group of you who can represent your colleagues. I want to hear your voices directly. There were murmurs of enthusiasm, yet Clara's heart was still wading through caution. You have to understand, this is about more than just our jobs. This is our dignity and our lives at stake. We're holding you to this. She wished that the strength she felt in that moment would wave away all the past disappointments that he inhaled deeply, the weight of their gaze upon him. I promise I'll do everything I can to make this an ongoing conversation, not just a one-off fix. But we need to build this trust together. As the owner spoke, Clara's features softened. There was sincerity in his eyes now, and a flicker of belief began to spark in those who had felt so disrespected. The excitement of a possible transformation enveloped the crowd once again, yet among the cheers, Clara couldn't shake the trepidation that lingered. The world had conditioned her to expect betrayal, to fear empty promises. Could he truly make a shift? I want to believe you, Clara said, her voice steady but tinged with an undercurrent of doubt. But we have to act fast. Change is like the tide, it needs to come in strong or it'll slip away before we can grab hold. He nodded, the weight of responsibility evident in his expression. Then let us aim to meet by the end of the week. We can gather everyone interested and lay the groundwork for this council. The crowd buzzed again, a mixture of excitement and something deeper, an awareness that this was just the beginning of a longer journey. Clara felt a renewed strength, her hands clasping together like a lifeline. When Ben threw an arm around her shoulders, she smiled, even if just a little. I can't believe this might actually be happening, he said, a grin breaking across his face. Clara could feel it too. But before they could fully bask in the moment, a figure from the side stepped up. It was Nina, a longtime employee known for her fierce loyalty but also her astute insight. But what about those of us who have grown disillusioned? How do we bring them back? The atmosphere shifted again. Would the owner be able to address not just the needs of the present but also the scars of the past? Clara felt her breath catch. Could they truly heal the fractures that ran deep? The unspoken fears hung thick in the air, and Clara could feel the weight of those skeptical eyes narrowing on her again. Are we ready to face the truth, to talk about all the things that matter? She wondered, a new wave of uncertainty washing over her as they balanced on this thrilling precipice. She knew they needed more than words, they needed a movement. The first step had been taken, but would it be enough? The path lingered ahead, fraught with challenges yet shining with promise, and Clara's heart raced for what lay beyond. Clara felt a thrill of anxiety ripple through her as the crowd shifted, drawn into an uncertain hush. Nina's challenge echoed in her mind. How could they mend what had been broken for so long? Part of Clara craved answers, but the other part feared what those answers might reveal. She glanced around, catching Ben's eye. His usually buoyant expression had dimmed, filled with a similar reflection of concern. They were on the edge of a moment that could either bridge or deepen the rift in their community. Maybe we should have a follow-up meeting as soon as possible, the owner suggested, looking tentative yet eager to clarify. I want this to be a full conversation, like a family meeting where we can lay it all on the table. Family, Clara echoed softly, her thoughts racing. The word sat heavy. Families had arguments but found ways to rebuild. It was a hopeful notion, yet the wounds ran deep. Could they truly consider themselves a family again? The owner met Clara's gaze, his sincerity palpable. I really do want to hear everyone's voices. Let us address the past first. He paused, a flicker of regret flashing across his face. I know there's history here that we can't just brush off. Nina stepped forward again, bravery radiating from her despite the years of frustration. We want to know how you plan to encourage those who feel stuck, those who fear that this won't make a difference. The owner's expression darkened slightly as he responded with conviction. We have to build a culture where everyone feels valued and seen. I can't change the past, but I can let you know it matters to me, and I'm willing to fight for it. Once again, Clara felt the anticipation mingle with doubt. How many times had she heard promises before, each spoken with zeal, only to watch them crumble away? Then, a whisper floated through the crowd, breaking the tension, but it was a voice Clara had not expected to hear. It was Malcolm, a quiet man known for keeping to himself. Trust is earned, it's not given lightly. Everyone fell silent, absorbing his words. Some of us have lost faith. Can you truly commit to real change, or are we just going to spin in cycles? His question slammed into the room, a sharp reminder of the length and pain of their struggle. Clara felt her heart race again, each beat echoing Malcolm's raw honesty. Could the owner understand the reality they faced? Nina leaned in, challenging the owner with fierce determination. Tell us what you're willing to risk. If you're serious about change, what are you prepared to lose? As the owner hesitated, Clara watched the glimmers of hope flickering in the eyes of her co-workers dim slightly. This was a pivotal moment. They needed assurance, confidence, and above all else, a promise that their dedication wouldn't be hollow. I'll be transparent, he finally said, shifting his weight. If this doesn't work, I'll step down. I don't want to be a leader who's afraid to listen. I want to help turn this place into something we can all be proud of. But I can only do that with your support. A few gasps rippled through the crowd as Clara felt her own head spin. A step like that required unimaginable courage. Was it possible he truly meant it? It starts now, she urged, her voice surprisingly steady. We need to create a vision and goals that we can hold you to. Talk is just the first step. Ben squeezed her hand. Hope hovered delicately in the air, thick with possibility. Could they seize this moment before it drifted away? Then let us pave the way for that council, Clara proposed emphatically. Together, we can build a brighter future, a place where we all belong. But just then, a commotion brushed through the crowd as someone with a familiar face pushed forward. Clara's stomach dropped. They hadn't expected this newcomer. I couldn't miss this, came the unexpected voice of Sophia, long absent, whose return could shatter everything they had just begun to build. What secret did her presence hold? Clara's heart sank, knowing everything was about to change once again. Sophia stepped into the light, her presence commanding immediate attention. Clara braced herself, a mix of unease and curiosity swirling within her. "I couldn't let you all have this moment without me," Sophia proclaimed, her voice steady despite the tension crackling in the air. "What are you doing here?" Clara asked, unable to hide her concern. The weight of their shared history hung heavily between them. "I'm here to make a point," Sophia declared, glancing around, meeting the eyes of their colleagues. "This fight isn't just for today. It's for all of us, including those left behind, those who lost their jobs because of this very company." The crowd stirred, murmurs rippling through them as Clara felt a mix of pride and fear. This was a pivotal moment. The inclusion of voices that had once felt silenced could be the catalyst for real change. "I want to echo what Malcolm said," Sophia continued, her eyes fierce. "Trust is built on action, not just words. We all have scars. This goes beyond just you, the owner, or us as workers. It's about accountability." She was right. Clara's heart swelled at the authenticity of her words, feeling the emerging unity in the room rise like sweet jazz dancing through the streets of New Orleans. The fears and hopes tangled together like the melodies drifting through the city's very soul. The owner stepped forward again, the weight of the moment pressing heavily on his shoulders. "I hear you, Sophia. I know I can't change the past, but I want to fix the future. I want to help rebuild trust. That starts here with us, together. Then be transparent with us," a voice in the back called out, igniting a rhythm of energy and urgency. "Show us you're serious by making this a real partnership, not just a facade." The owner hesitated for a moment, weighing the challenge before him, but there was strength in vulnerability. "I promise to initiate a tangible change that reflects your concerns. I want us to work together to create policies that not only uplift the staff but encourage genuine dialogue every step of the way." Clara felt the tide of hope wash over the crowd, but she also understood the need for action. "We need tangible goals, not just promises. We all have stories and experiences that can be part of that vision. If we're to be partners, let us share those stories. Show us our voices matter." As the sun set beyond the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant orange and pink hues, visible determination surged in the atmosphere. Hope ignited a newfound camaraderie between the hotel owner and the employees. Clara's heart raced with the possibilities of the future. It was about reclaiming their voices. "Let us meet, let us plan, and let us fight for what we deserve." Benjamin shouted, leading a surge of affirmations from the crowd. Sophia stepped closer to Clara, her face softening. "You've been a lighthouse in all this darkness, Clara. I'm proud of what you've done." Clara smiled back, feel warmth enveloping her heart. They had not just fought for their jobs, they had fought for their dignity and the right to have a voice. Days turned into weeks, but the momentum continued. The owner stuck to his promises, assembling meetings filled with employees' input. Clara joined the newly formed council, each voice inspiring. It wasn't always easy. Progress came with challenges, but the commitment was genuine and palpable. Change echoed through the hotel as the staff rallied together, their collective spirit rising until it became infectious. They hosted discussions, workshops, and retraining sessions, creating a nurturing environment where dreams weren't just whispered but shouted. Then one evening, as Clara took a moment to herself on the balcony overlooking New Orleans, a wave of realization washed over her. This transformation had changed her for herself and for her family. Clara looked back at the bustling hotel, vibrant with life, pride blooming in her chest. She felt stronger, capable, and inspired. "Clara," Benjamin's voice broke through her thoughts. He joined her, leaning against the railing beside her. "I just wanted to say thank you for being the heart of this." She turned to meet his gaze, feeling warmth seep into her veins. "Thank you for believing in this too. For understanding we're stronger together." As they watched the sunset mottling the horizon, Clara could feel the music of New Orleans pulsing around them in vibrant energy. It was no longer just about survival, it had shifted to hope, resilience, and community. Clara knew they were on a path, one where loyalty and advocacy could thrive. They had shifted the narrative, and each step felt profound. While the road ahead was still windy, they would walk it together, nothing could bring them down now, and with that last thought, Clara turned, smiling radiantly at her colleagues, laughing and talking together, the heavy weight of struggle replaced with a lightness of purpose. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a voice echoed from the heart of the hotel, a chorus rising to claim space and deliver their message, "Together, we rise." This moment was just the beginning. Clara and her hotel family had reclaimed their power, and they were ready to face whatever came next. And now, you can be a part of this journey. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending below. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. You need to support this channel.